Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we will look at the Finnish prospects that were drafted to the National Hockey League in the current draft class. Of the 225 players that were selected in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, 18 came from Finland alone, a full 8% of the talents. This is the most players picked from Finland since 2019, when 22 prospects were drafted, some of which came from that Golden World Junior squad. All of the 4 drafts in between have seen somewhere between 14 and 17 Finnish prospects selected. But the yearly question that many hockey fans, both in Finland and abroad, may be asking themselves is this: what can these players bring to their teams at club level, or Finland itself at the international level? That is what I will be answering in this upcoming video. Today we will go through some information and statistics on each of the 18 Finnish players drafted to the National Hockey League, their strengths, weaknesses, and where they could play within the next 3 years. We begin with Konsta Helenius at drafted 14th overall, and with Joona Väisänen at 175th overall, and go through names like Atos Koivu, Aron Kiviharju, and Veikko Lohivaara in between. Without further ado, let us begin with a player that Finnish hockey media has been talking about as one of the top playmakers for the entire year. Konsta Helenius was the name that practically everyone in the European prospect field, including myself, was scouting this whole season, and I have quite a lot of information on Helenius alone, the Ylöjärvi-born talent, now officially a Buffalo Sabre with the 14th overall pick. The whole year he was the top Finnish prospect and performed well for a World Junior team that finished 4th at that tournament, as well as in the few games he played at the World Championship promoted to that level like Kiekko was 5 years earlier. Helenius, like Kiekko and most Finnish academy players, is a playmaker and not the elite sniper that first-round picks are idealized by fans to be. Hence, prospects from the Finnish league like him are often drafted lower in the first or second rounds. The focus for the academies is to develop players that work as a full unit and not just on one individual player alone. Helenius is considered to be decent on all factors of the game. His skating ability is impressive, and his positioning is well above the average for the 2024 prospect class. His passing is excellent, even in no-look situations or through 3 or 4 screens, and while his slapshot and wrist shot still need work from the sides, he is better from close range. It seems that he prefers to play in the central areas, and he does not have much of a problem weaving his way around opponents. From a defensive perspective, he is good from the corners, putting his opponents under pressure, and his determination to go from end to end is important to his gameplay. He will be going to Tappara, the 3-time reigning champions of Finnish hockey, next year, the same team that developed him as an academy player at the under-16, under-18, and under-20 levels, and that will give him even more experience after a solid 2023-24 season in Liiga. In 2023-24, he recorded 14 goals and 36 points in 51 regular season games, then followed it up with 6 points in 6 playoff appearances. Prior to the draft, Tankathon predicted Emil Hemming to go to the Dallas Stars with the 29th overall pick, and they were exact on that. It comes as no surprise to anyone that a team that heavily scouts Finnish prospects and has an elite Finnish prospect system going, and a team that consistently makes the conference finals with those scouted and selected players being major contributors, was going to make this selection. Hemming comes from the same TPS academy that has developed some quality playmakers over the years in Finnish internationals Mikko Rantanen, Kaapo Kakko, and Slovak international Juraj Slafkovsky. Hemming is yet another prospect that fits into that group of players who, again, may not be elite point-per-game scorers, but players that can supply quick passes from wing to wing, and are impressive with their zone entries. His skating ability at the junior levels was not too impressive, but ever since he was promoted to Liiga, he can turn on a dime, harnessing the speed-based factor with both skating and passing play that Finnish academies, like that of TPS, drill into their players. Hemming's ability to carry the puck through the neutral zone, as mentioned previously, as well as his wrist shot and one-timers, are what made him a first-line or second-line winger for much of the season. The defensive side is, of course, what Hemming needs to improve on, despite being billed as a two-way forward by some. I would completely disagree with that and state that he is not a two-way forward, but a purely attacking forward when his overall play is reviewed. Hemming cannot win one-on-one battles at a consistent rate, and he, like some of the other selections earlier in this draft, does not know where to go on some defensive situations, leaving teams like Antti Pananen's Ilves and Rikard Grönberg's Tappara especially to spot not just Hemming's weakness, but TPS' weakness as a whole, since they have only 4 men to effectively defend against 5, and that creates chances for teams like Ilves and Tappara to find easy open spaces. After recording 7 goals and 11 points in 40 Liiga games in 2023-24, Hemming is committing to the Barrie Colts in the OHL in the 2024-25 season, and that will benefit him. By doing this, he is not only having to learn how to use the smaller space of the North American ice sheets to his advantage, but also how to defend effectively. Interestingly enough, Tankathon also got the third selection correct, as Julius Miettinen was projected to go to the Seattle Kraken with the 40th pick in the draft. Miettinen is the first of two Finnish prospects selected by the Seattle Kraken as they grow their Liiga scouting system in their fourth year as a professional franchise. They now have 7 Finnish prospects on their list, these being Jani Newman, probably their most notable after his recent World Junior Tournament and season with Ilves in Liiga, Ville Ottavainen, Ville Petman, Petro Seppälä, Niklas Kokko, Visa Vedenpää, and now Miettinen. An excellent skater that can go from one end of the ice to the other quite quickly, Miettinen has great positioning on all 3 zones of the ice, attacking, neutral, or defensive, and it has helped him to achieve just over a point per game in the Western Hockey League, while also converging on opponents from the central areas of the defensive zone, doing some of the difficult defensive work. He is not as good from the corners of the ice, however, quickly being put off his mark by opponents. Miettinen may have that advantage that some Finnish prospects may not have, as he has performed well on both the larger European ice sheet and the smaller North American ice sheets. He will be continuing with the Everett Silvertips in the WHL next season after recording 67 points in 66 games. Once his time in the WHL is over, he may be assigned to the Coachella Valley Firebirds, but it will be at least a year and a half before he makes his debut to the NHL as a likely fourth-line forward. For the third time in the last 4 years, the New York Islanders selected a European skater in the second round of the draft. In 2021, it was Oulun Kärpät center Aatu Räty. In 2022, it was Swedish talent Kallio Delius, and now they take Jesse Pulkkinen with the 54th pick in 2024. Pulkkinen reminds me of current national team defenseman Oliver Koski in that he has a great point shot, probably one of the best in his draft class, and uses it often. His puck handling skills are also decent, particularly shown during the World Junior Tournament when he was cutting to the inside angle on numerous neutral zone entries. His balance is excellent. He can keep control of the puck when pressured while also pushing opponents off balance with his 220-pound weight. When he goes in for a full hit, he does make some risky decisions and has some very high penalty minute totals in the last 2 years. With Youth last season, he posted 2 goals and 8 points in 29 games. The other half of the season was spent in the under-20 SM Sarja, where he recorded over a point per game with 28 in 18 games, following it up with 10 points in 7 playoff games. Overall, a decent option for the Islanders, who had 12 defensemen in their prospect system before drafting both Pulkkinen and Xavier Vallieu in this draft. Tankathon predicted him going 51st overall, but 3 picks down the list, he is selected in a decent spot relative to projections. The Hockey News ranked Emil Vinny 41st overall, but most of the other sources had him in or below the 3rd round, with Draft Prospect Hockey even projecting him to go with the 111th overall pick. That said, the butterfly goaltender who played as the main starter for Kiekko-Pojat in Mestis last season on loan from HIFK was drafted well above where he was expected. He uses both his glove and blocker in equal measure, moves from post to post as if it is second nature, and is willing to take risks to deny rebounds. He was much worse between 2019 and 2022 in terms of his over-aggressiveness when coming out of the net to make saves, but he has improved significantly in this regard. Last year was the most impressive, earning a .892 save percentage, and he went from a 2.80 GAA at the junior level to 2.72 in the second tier of Finnish hockey. Now, out of USA Hockey's ABCD goaltending depth measurements, aggressive, balanced, conservative, defensive, he plays between balanced and conservative. As the Edmonton Oilers' top goaltending prospect, well ahead of Oliver Rodrigue, he will be playing with HIFK next season, meaning that he will play against some of Finland's top players and return to one of the top academies in the country, a team that has been performing well in Liiga over the last 3 years. Saku Koivu had a very inspiring story over his 18-year career, captain of the Montreal Canadiens and one of the most loyal and hardworking players the club has ever had. His son Ottos is now a member of the Montreal Canadiens, drafted in the early 3rd round with the 70th overall pick. Koivu primarily spent 2023-24 in the under-18 SM Sarja and the under-20 SM Sarja, in both scoring just over a point per game, and also took part in 4 Liiga games following a series of injuries on the main squad. squad. He played well in those appearances against players stronger than he is, and that may have factored into the Canadiens' decision to go with him above other prospects ranked higher in the projections that were still available, such as Luke Misa or Simon Zether. As someone that has followed TPS and their academy systems heavily, I have seen his development at the under 18 and under 20 levels, and probably the most notable strength Koivu has is his shot, particularly with his wrist shot and his one-timer, both of which he primarily finishes on the left side of the opposing zone. His speed is also great, able to read the play and find openings, leading to breakaways on occasion. His defensive game is not bad either, as he's able to get in the defensive rush and is involved in poking the puck away from the opposition, but the main thing he must improve on that side of the ice is his ability to win one-on-one battles, as he can be easily pushed off balance in Liga. It would also benefit him on the attack in situations where he is being pressured by opponents along the corner boards, something he still does not have full control of. However, Nick Bobrov, the Canadiens' director of amateur scouting, said this about Koivu. Quote, his habits are already pro, but the body needs to develop, and our job is to protect the physique and project where the player can get to in 5 years. So we felt that he is just scratching the surface, and there is a lot more to go, end quote. With how elite the Habs prospect system is, he is in great hands and will probably develop into a reliable second-line or third-line center for the Canadiens, or a first-line center for their AHL affiliate Laval Rocket in 3 or 4 years after a few years of experience in Liga with the main TPS squad. Kasper Pikkarainen, ranked 24th among European skaters, was eligible for this draft because he turns 18 in August, similar to how Connor Bedard was eligible for last year's draft as his birthday was in July. More of a defensive forward rather than an attacking forward, he is more involved in the plays that take place in his own zone rather than that of the opposition. His read of passing play and actual passing ability are decent, as well as his puck handling, but he needs a better shot, as most of his current attempts for goal are relatively inaccurate to the intended target. As a result, he relies heavily on his passing, again, looking to dish the puck to someone else instead of releasing a shot at goal. If someone converges on him and there are no options available, Pikkarainen could put the team in trouble, as a poor turnover is likely to happen. He needs to improve in quite a few qualities, but the New Jersey Devils have a great prospect development system, and if they decide to promote him to the AHL level at least, that will help him adapt to the North American ice sheet and the style of play. With the under-20 side of TPS, he had 28 points in 34 games, building on his case to ultimately be drafted in the third round with 7 points in 12 playoff games. He had 5 appearances with the senior side, but did not record a point in any of them, and in his first and final under-18 SM Sarnia game of the year, he posted an assist. Kim Saarinen, a hybrid goaltender out of the local HPK Academy, is drafted 88th by the Seattle Kraken. Great with his vision, he can find his way through screens in front of the net and make usually difficult glove or pad saves. He's actually better with the low areas of the net than the higher areas. The downside that comes with his goaltending is that he has a weaker blocker side than other goalies in his draft class, hence opponents will try to shoot for that side if they catch on. This is primarily because he places his blocker and goaltender stick closer to the ground than most would. Quite a large amount of Finnish goaltenders are developed and play specifically in the butterfly style, but like Gose Saros, who is also a hybrid, Saarinen does play well in the butterfly position if he needs to use that alone for a sequence of plays. He only has 2 games of experience at the senior level, so Seattle will need to monitor his progress and see if he can do well in Liga once HPK promotes him to the main level, which could be in 2025-26. He may even be promoted before that, considering that HPK are a team trying to rise from finishing second last in the league last season, 14th out of 15. With the under-20 team of HPK, he finished with a 2.41 GAA and a .917 save percentage over 23 games, ending the year with a 14-5-0 season record. He played 9 games with the under-18 side, winning all but one of them, and he played 2 games with the senior team, winning one as well. Veikko Väisänen took part in almost a full season in Liga in 2023-24, recording 2 goals and 10 points in 50 games, and at 96th overall, he went to the Utah Hockey Club as their 5th pick since relocation. On the evening of the draft's first round, Tankathon had him projected to be drafted late in the second round, and that also seemed to be the general consensus among scouts and prospect analysts. Instead, he is drafted late in the third round. He is a two-way defenseman that is hardworking and reminds me of Ivan Demidov, drafted earlier, and Lenny Haminaho, another exciting prospect I scouted in the past, in that he does not make risky moves, waiting for something to happen before setting up passes along the blue line or poke-checking the puck away, whether it be on the attack or the defense. He has a very hard shot. He does not use it too often, but when he does, it will throw the goaltender off. The issue is that it's not the most precise, but that can be fixed with some additional work by those in Utah's or Kolkol's academies. He is not the fastest prospect on the list, and he has a hard time changing directions in a split second. Overall, he is a prospect Utah would consider as a massive draft steal considering where he could have landed. They can promote him to the North American level by the 2025-26 season if he performs well for the second consecutive season at Finland's top club hockey circuit, one of the top professional leagues in the world. That is it for this one. If you have any comments about anything mentioned in this video, please leave them down below and I will try to respond to them as soon as possible. If you found this interesting, please give it a like or subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.